The board's registrar, Professor Isha Koloyede, acknowledging that there were some hitches in the early exams. He said errors impacted more than 200,000 candidates across 65 centers here in Lagos alone, and in the southeast, specifically across 92 centers in the Owerri zone, where another 173,387 candidates were affected. The rescheduled UTME has now kicked off, and our reporter Ayomide Ajegbe was at one of the biggest CBT centers in Lagos at the WAEC office in Ogba to monitor the process.
This is one of the biggest CBT centers in Lagos, located at the WAEC office in Ogba. Most students have been here as early as 6 a.m. with some of their parents who came to monitor the process. The mood here says it all: anxiety, anger, frustration on faces of students and parents alike, especially as most of them traveled long distances to the CBT center.
I have to leave my home by 5 o'clock and be here by 7. Let me just say 7 o'clock I was there. Some people have not even write answer. They're supposed to write by 6:30 with us, but they couldn't even make it because they didn't even see their own message at all.
I'm coming all the way from Badagry to this place. My child set for the first exam, not before this area. I know it's Ikeja again. But after that, after the suffering that very day, we were surprised that the child's results was, they gave him different two results.
Even though widespread complaints of low scores by candidates who have a track record of better performance prompted an inquest into the process, for some students who wrote the first exam, it is an opportunity to do better and get a better score. To others, it is like a gamble that can go either ways.
My jam that I got, it wasn't really the score I was expecting or even the one I'm supposed to get. But I'm glad that I got a chance to redo my exam and get the score that I deserve.
I checked my results. I got 208 and I feel so bad writing it again. That's very bad. And it's very painful because I might not score 208 again.
For parents, the emotional and mental stress is a lot to take in, and they are only hopeful for a better result at the end of the day.
The last time that I wrote, I'm there from 9 o'clock and the paper is 2 o'clock. I left the center by 6 o'clock in the evening. Now I came here again. They said they are going to rewrite again. I'm here.
Because opportunity like that doesn't come. But we would like JAMB to look more into that so that they can help us with all of these glitches. It's not very interesting for students to go and come. For example, we had an exam today in school.
The examination is in batches, with students waiting their turn in careful anticipation and cautious expectation. Ayomide Ajegbe, TVC News, Lagos.
So on Wednesday, in an emotion-laden address, JAMB Registrar Professor Isha Koloyede acknowledged JAMB's technical errors disrupted the recent exams. Today, the rescheduled exams begin, or rather we understand it began yesterday, but critical questions remain unanswered. We're now seeing students across Lagos and Southeast retaking the UTME exams again. Early reports suggest some centers still face biometric verification issues, raising concerns about whether JAMB truly fixed the problems. Joining me now is Yomi Utubela, who is National President of the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, NAPS. It was at the all-important meeting with JAMB officials following the backlash from the public after the initial exam. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Utubela.
Thank you for having me, Nifemi.
So let's begin with getting clarity as to the fact that we hear that some of your members operate these CBT centers. How are they reacting to this particular development and the blame that they were responsible for the technical error that compromised the examination? Mr. Tubela, please unmute yourself. We can't hear you from here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly now. Please go ahead.
I can hardly hear you.
So I mentioned that there are insinuations that some of your members run the CBT center. The CBT center is affected by this technical glitch. How are they reacting to this development?
Okay. In the true sense of it, the technical glitch talk about here has nothing to do with the local gadgets. It has to do with the software that JAM has deployed, and the fact that the human resources that are supposed to activate this software somehow did not do so in some part of the country, which is, as announced by the registrar, that is Southeast and Lagos. So in some other part of the country, that wasn't the situation, as this software were activated and the software delivered as expected. So for our members who run CBT centered, it wasn't recorded that there was a glitch or any technical challenge with the local or the remote gadgets like computer system, the switch, and the rest that were deployed for the examinations.
That JAM was talking about aren't the operators of the CBTs, right? The CBT centers, rather.
Yeah, the CBT centers.
Are they the same as the agency JAM mentioned was responsible for this glitch?
Not at all, not at all. JAM has contacted some software developer that developed the software deployed for the examination. And the software is different from the hardware. What the CBT operators is deploying her hardware, like the computer system, the switch, the networking of the system, the facility, the building that house the children, and of course the furniture that were deployed. These are what CBT deployed. But the solutions that the children wrote the exam on are mainly software, and the software are organized by some IT personnel, and the glitch we're talking about here had come from the software providers.
So JAM says about 157 centers were affected. The students are back now to write the exams again. Can you confirm if all CBT centers in the affected states were properly audited before this retake? What specific gaps did your members report?
Well, I don't have that statistics in my hand. If all CBT centers that were available for the children to write their exams were verified and audited. What I know is that there are complaints coming from some quarters, and JAM had investigated its own solution and found out that some of these complaints are legitimate and actually true. And those complaints could be traced to those centers within the Southeast and Lagos. So from other parts of the country, if there are any complaints that have come, that has not been established to have anything to do with the solutions that were deployed by JAM. And as a third party, there is limitation to the detailed information I have about what happened to the inside solution that JAM deployed.
Thousands of candidates are now reciting the exam at what many consider short notice. How widely did JAM consult to arrive at the specific time to have these exams rewritten? Did they get your association's nod?
Truth be told, I personally have concern about the time for reciting the examination. You should know, or I should note here, that the children that are supposed to write this exam, majority of them are also writing their senior secondary school certificate examination conducted by West African Examination Council. And as I speak with you today, agricultural science is supposed to be one of the exams by the WAEC for today. I wouldn't know why we couldn't have think through to allow for some time, even for the children to put themselves together to go back for this examination. So I have my reservation about that.
So what about the students that actually passed this exam? Are they also going to take it again?
Everyone that is affected by that sentence are going to take it again, either you pass or you failed. It means that whatever score you had initially has become invalid.
The important question is whether or not we can trust this retake process. As a stakeholder, how do you answer that question?
I would have to say that until the current investigation is going and feedback from children, from schools, because I have had to speak to some schools who had vouched for the potential of some of their children. Having studied under them for over 6 years, they were worried that some of them were having scores that does not represent the capacity of these children. So until and when we are able to do this investigation and write JAM, JAM allow for feedback from stakeholders, there are help desk and all that. So we could send our observations and concerns, and we shall be expecting feedback from JAM. So until we were able to do all that and collate all this information all over the country, you know that we have our members in all the 774 local governments in Nigeria. So we can easily collate this data and come up with fact-based outcome. So as I speak to you now, we are still far away from that. So if you want me to speak on that, you will have to wait for some times when we have this information within our platform.
Let's take a short break, Mr. Otubela, and we'll be right back to this conversation. Stay with us, everyone. Mr. Yomi Otubela is president of the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, NAPS. He joins me live on the show this evening. There's been calls for the JAM registrar to resign aftermath this particular development. I'm sure you've heard it yourself. I had a guest on the show yesterday who actually was also talking about this. I'm wondering how you and your association react to this development.
I'm sorry, if I get you right, the network is fainting. Did you talk about the call for his resignation and how we want to react to that call? Is that the question?
Exactly.
Okay. Sincerely, those who are calling for his resignation have the right within their own space to demand for what they feel is right. But for us, we think it is premature to call for his resignation, even though we are not totally exonerating him as the CEO of JAM from this national embarrassment. But a thorough investigation, a call for independent investigation of what has happened beyond what has been provided by the body would necessitate the decision that will be taken by the association. And not until then, we will still remain neutral on this matter till the fact comes in, then we can take a position about resignation or no resignation.
Yesterday on the show, we have the very lawyer who sued JAM and the Minister of Education for alleged abuse of minors' rights. Would NAP support a class action against the examination body and the ministry?
Sincerely, Nifemi, I am having challenges with your audio here. I can see you clearly, but I can't hear you clearly, please.
I'm asking if your association will join the class action against JAM. We have the lawyer who sued JAM for 10 billion naira, and the Minister of Education is also joined in that suit.
Yes, it's similar to the first question you have asked. Any action taken by any stakeholders that are concerned or that are Nigerians who, of course, believe in the future of this country will feel concerned about what has happened. And beyond the explanation given by the body, individual or a body of people could as well take in an action against the body to further call for a deeper investigation to know what exactly had happened beyond the body explanation. So I have said, and I am repeating, not until we have all the facts come in and we are able to analyze it to take a position, it should be too early for us to be talking about taking a court action against the body.
Private schools are critical stakeholders here, and many of the parents who are complaining are those who have sent their children to private school. They say you charge them well with the expectation that they can sit for this exam once and pass. What tangible support should private schools provide these traumatized students, especially seeing what has happened now?
Yes, we had called a meeting of stakeholders that there should be parent forum where the school could give the analysis according to what we have in the public space to the parents, and we can then form alliance with parents to continue to counsel these children to see life as full of challenges. And when it comes at times, it has nothing to do with their own making. It is the making of the society, the stakeholders, the both human and non-human resources that form a community, set people's plan, and can create challenges. So we have alternative for the children in the A-level classes, where children are taken through process of sitting for A-level and some diploma courses through IJMB, JUPEB, some schools diploma, where if they are successful with that program, they could get admissions directly into 200 level, and that can override the 1 year they must or they may likely be wasting due to these challenges. The children are not taking it so easy. Some of them won't stop crying. Some have go on hunger strike. It has been so traumatic, I must confess to that. In fact, in the pages of a newspaper, I read the fact that one of the children committed suicide, and the father actually confessed to that. And I'm also aware of some of the children who said they are not going back to write any exams. Some of the fillers from the field today says that about 30 out of 250 that are posted to a center are not they didn't go for the exam. They were absent in the examination hall. So it's not all the children that information was sent to, this SMS was sent to, that responded to it. And that shows that some are not ready to go back. While those who are ready to go back, we are still getting how they fear into the examination. As far as we are concerned, it has been a very hard task for us to get these children attention back to class. And I pray it doesn't affect their performances during the ongoing senior secondary school certificate examination being conducted by West Africa Examination Council.
Absolutely. Even JAB is saying that both will not clash. But I cannot just stop but imagining a student who passed in the first exam and then eventually fails or falls short in the second take. But the last time we spoke, you were nursing the idea of having these exams written on a quarterly basis. Are you considering the concerns of the number of slots available at the various universities, which some have said is perhaps even very critical as to the number of people who pass JAMB on a yearly basis?
The number of slots in the university sincerely could not admit the total number of children sitting for examination on a yearly basis. In some about 3 years ago, it was said that only 10% of those who sat for that year examination, UTME examination, will gain admission, even if all of them passed. So, and ever since then, we have seen that the current federal government and in the immediate past had continued to give licenses to both private and state-owned schools. A good number has been established in the recent time. And aside that, there is also opening through the Open University, where capacity is unlimited, where children can line through open university system, where they go for their examination and they study from home or study centers, And this also gives additional room for additional number of students. And apart from the university, we also have opportunity in the Polytechnic and the National Certificate NCE, the colleges. So we expect that they can admit those who they can admit, but that will not stop the fact that instead of us putting pressure on children that once they sit for examination and probably anything goes wrong, they have to wait for a whole 1 year before they can find opportunity within the system. That is outdated. We must move away from that system. We should be able to do a situation where children can apply to write this exam at least about 3 times within a year. And they can choose the best of their result to pursue admission in the schools of their choice. And we just have to reject the whole system and see that we move from what we have been doing for some past 10, 15 years, and we do it better to create opportunity for children and remove the pressure that is hitherto attached to writing JAMB examination. You cannot just imagine when students go to center and the whole place is flooded with crowd for students waiting for the other set of students to finish before they come in. In most cases, there is no sufficient space for them to sit before their turn.
Indeed.
And you see them loitering the whole centers. And
Mr. Tubala,
this also contributes to psychological trauma.
Absolutely.
To these children, and this can affect their results.
I'm afraid we have completely run out of time. President, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, NAPS, Mr. Yomi Otubela, thank you so much for talking to us on Beyond the Headlines.
You are most welcome.
That's our show today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of it. Next week, we kickstart our midterm scorecard as we talk to elected and appointed officials of the Tinubu administration in our countdown to May 29 inauguration day. It's midterm for the Tinubu administration, and it's time to ask the tough questions. See you again next week, everyone.